Well, good afternoon, good evening, good evening, good morning to you, wherever you may be, wherever you may be listening or hearing my voice. And welcome to Family Empowerment Now's Ask Me Anything open office hours. Today is December 15th, 2020. I am Michael Macniak. I am going to be your host for this and every other open office hour that we have, and every Ask Me Anything session that we may have together. So I'm pleased to see that there are so many people here right now in this, our first open office hours session. I want to start out by saying that I am fortunate enough to be in Florida right now. Today, as I said, is December 15th. It is raging cold and there's a big storm hitting the Northeast the next day or two. And as you all know, with the pandemic that is ravaging us once again, I am basically hunkering down with my family in Florida and working from here, which I tell you I find to be more difficult than working from an office. And I'm sure that many of you are experiencing the same thing. Today, I want to talk to you about basically the start of open office hours and Ask Me Anything. And I have to apologize in advance for two things. Number one, what you hear in the background is my puppy yelping and screeching because he's all of a sudden turned one and he thinks he's a big guard dog. So anytime there's a bird or another person, he will bark and carry on like he's doing right now. But then after a minute or so, he will hush up. Sometimes if I yell at him, it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And also in the background, you may hear the water cascading from the pool that my parents have here at their place. So I hope none of those are too distracting to you, and we will move forward with basically the way that this is going to work. So the way that we're going to do this is that every other week we're going to get together and I'm going to answer questions that you may have about your loved one, about the service system, about the mental health system. If I don't know the answer, I am not going to try to make something up. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you maybe where to look, maybe what I've done, what I might do. I might also say, you know, something, let me get back to you. I know somebody who could help you with that or could give us an answer to that. You know, I'm not in a position to give clinical advice, and this is not a legal forum either, but I've been around the block a few times in 25 years of doing this work. So, so what we're going to do is we're going to have any kind of questions, as I say, and I also want to try to cover a topic that I think would be of value to you or in service to all the folks who join us here on these calls. This week, I want to talk to you about our very first, most important lesson, which, well, maybe it's not most important, but it's a foundational one. You know, we want to start from the start, right? And this is going to be about focus, agency, and habits, okay? All of our focal points that we need to have. Now, focal points are important because that's where the granularity of this work starts. And I would also say, and you will hear me say this repeatedly, that to get introspective, to get focused, is in and of itself difficult work very often. You know, a lot of us just kind of cruise through our days, our weeks, our months, and we don't do sort of a self-analysis. We don't do an introspection, take the time to check in with ourselves or check on ourselves or check up with ourselves and hold ourselves accountable. And it's very important to do, but it's not, you know, easy. You know, as I say, you know, it's common sense, we should do it, but as you all know, common sense is not common practice. So when we talk today, we're gonna talk about focus, agency, which basically means ownership, how much you own your own strengths and weaknesses. And again, habits, what habits you can do, stop doing, create, that will help you to gain more focus and to maybe gain more position or um, more of that sort of A game back in your life. So I want to start by saying, first of all, thank you for being here. The fact that you're here shows your commitment. It shows that you care deeply about yourself. It shows that you are here to learn more about how you can work with, for, in service of other people. And I really honor you for that. I congratulate you for being here, and I thank you for the work that you do, as I always say. And so I guess, the first place to start, and I'll pause in between the questions that I ask or points that I make, so that if you want to jot down some thoughts, have a journal as we go through some of these things. But one of the first things that I want to know is how do you feel about your level of focus right now? And that could be a very macro level, 30,000 foot approach, or you could look at it in a very specific, focused on one item type of an approach. But think about that. Maybe give yourself a rating of 1 to 10, 1 being, you don't have a pulse, and 10 being you are laser locked in focused. How do you feel you're focused, and what are you focusing on right now? And now, with regard to that, and sort of, I guess, absolutely related to that, is as you look at that rating that you just gave yourself, and you think about the things that you're focused on and you're not focused on, what do you think that you have control of right now? Or what do you feel like you don't have control of? And how would you rate your level of control in your life at this point? And I'll give you a second just to give that some thought. And as I said earlier, with regard to your focus and your control, now, what can you do? What should you do? Or what habits do you currently have, or want to have, or want to break, that would help you to get to that next level based upon what you wrote down as the things that you're focused on and the amount of control that you think you have? So that's really just a starting point. Okay, that's where this sort of quick down and dirty lesson for today is going to start, because what I'm here to do is to help you to get back to purpose, get back to growth, right? So many of us feel like we've lost our way. And this year, more so than ever, we don't know what our way is right now. We don't have anybody to tell us what the way is. We live in such a time of uncertainty. And I hate the cliche of these uncertain times, but we can't plan anything. It's a horrible way to exist when we can't make a plan of action for our own lives, something we want to do next, because we don't know if we're going to be allowed to, or we don't know if we should, due to health reasons and whatnot. But what I want to do here in these sessions is to give you tools, give you strength, and of course, in addition to answering questions that you might have, but I want to help you to improve your quality of life in every single area. And when we think about what that looks like, we could break it down into 7 potential categories that we'll talk about here in just a second. But, again, given a year like we've had, given the fact that the holidays are coming, a lot of us get to the point where we feel like life is really out of balance. And I want to know how you, or how we together, can put that life back in balance. What area needs a little bit more attention? Where do we need to tweak? Where do we need to re-engage, refocus? And how can we just, check off these boxes and just say, I'm going to improve every area of my life. And I want you to think, if you can improve, if you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 again being you don't have a pulse, and 10 being you are mastermind, at this particular area. If you could improve just one notch, one peg, just think about how much that can improve your life and overall. So we'll go through a couple of these things here, and we'll again, I'll ask you to rate yourself. The first thing I want to ask you about is your health. Okay, and when I say well-being, health, I'm not out here to try to be, the fitness guru or anything like that. I talk about your health in terms of your energy. And let's talk about energy with a capital E, right? And that's not just your ability to run around the track 17 times. It's your ability to be there, show up, but be vivacious, go get it, get out there every single day, be present, know what you're doing, and be just steadfast and sure about where you're at and where you're heading, and bringing the that it factor to everything that you're trying to do. How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in that regard? Okay, number 2, how about your friendships? You still in touch with a lot of people? Have you found yourself losing touch with people? Have you found that people have lost touch with you? Given your circumstances, do people shy away? Given your circumstances, do you shy away from other people? A lot of the work that we do, and of course we're talking about here, is families that are struggling with some form of behavioral health issue. And I hear a lot of times they say, we just don't get together with our friends anymore. Or, we seem to have lost all of our friends because they don't understand what we're going through, or they don't understand what it's like. So where do you rate yourself with regard to your friendships? I mean, is there anybody that inspires you, that really lifts you up? Is there anybody that really brings you down? So overall, how do you rate yourself with regard to your friendships? All right, the third one is a big one. It's kind of sort of an esoteric concept, but how would you rate yourself in terms of love? And that means like love that you feel for another person, another thing, perhaps, like my little dog Mackie here. How do you feel about your kids, your partner, your the rest of your family, your extended family? And I guess when you think about that, what are some of the feelings that get in the way of you living with just the most open heart and just this abundance of love, as opposed to living in sort of fear or resentment? So think about those emotions and think about what can get in the way of your truly giving of yourself, giving your heart out. And think about who or even what might deserve a little bit more attention right now, or you might want more attention from right now. And it's okay. There's no wrong or right answers with any of this stuff. You know that. I'm just trying to say, if you rate yourself, if you give yourself some time to think about these concepts and again, get focused and own where you're at. It's a great starting point. It's a great leap off point for us as we move forward and working together in building. Just keep on adding blocks and layers onto strengthening you into that that A game personality that you are or were. And with that, how do you feel about your mission in life? How connected are you? What kind of meaning do you take out of life, or has that been stripped away from you? And what has caused it to be stripped away from you? Just trying to make positive progress in anything and everything that you do is how I describe my mission. If I can say, I'm here trying to reach as many families as possible, and I work at it every day relentlessly. So in my estimation, I'm doing pretty good with my mission. The degree to which I'm successful in bringing good things to people, I think is working. And I'm just trying to grow the community so that I can reach more. So I'm just trying to make positive progress at all times. I'm not stuck. I don't find myself treading water. I feel like I'm moving toward my end goal. It's an important distinction there. Of course, we have to ask about finances. How are you doing with your money? You know, for a lot of people, this year has been an utter disaster. For those fortunate enough to have some money in the stock market, it's been pretty good. You know, um, the stock market did pretty well this year, but so many people are out of work. So many of our local community mom and pop shops have gone out of business. Uh, you know, the mortality rate of restaurants is even higher than it usually is, which is around 70%. This year, there's just hundreds of thousands going out of business. So how are you doing with your finances? Are you feeling responsible? Are you using your finances responsibly and in a manner that you're comfortable with? Okay, hobbies. Now this is a big one. I want to know how you are with regard to hobbies, because it's really easy to let hobbies go. At least I think it is for me. I don't know what it is. It's, you know, I really get into something and I'm so far in it for a long period of time. You know, fly fishing. I was a fanatic, and then somehow I just drifted away from it. You know, I took up golf, and I still stink no matter how much I try. But it gets me outside. It gets me some vitamin D. It kills some time. You know, it gets my head off of all the worries and the work that I have. But at the same time, what hobbies do for us, and the reason that hobbies are important, is because they reinvigorate us, don't they? And they sort of give us a little bit of a switch, and they allow us to bring the passion that we have in that hobby, if we truly love it, and get that fulfillment, and flip that around and bring it into every other aspect of our lives. So hobbies are important. Um, not necessarily. Well, they're a distraction, but they're a good distraction. We need distractions in our lives, and don't let anybody tell you any different. You know, the inspiration to create that is a hobby gives you energy with a capital E elsewhere in all of these various factors. So rate yourself on that. We don't want you living a one-dimensional life. You know, it can't all be about one worry, one anxiety, one problem. And it can't just be about your job. It can't just be about your family. We're trying to be really well balanced here. Finally, spirituality. Again, I'm not here to preach to anybody. I am not going to proclaim one religious or faith or another. But when I'm talking about spirituality, I'm asking about your connection, your emotional engagement in what's meaningful in your life, your spirituality with whatever. I mean, I love sitting here. This is my outside office, let's say, because I just love when I'm looking at the screen and I see all your faces. I love seeing these palm trees behind me. This is not fake. This is not one of those green screen things. This is right behind me, these palm trees. I just like sitting here, and you know, I could see the water and I could see the golf course over there. It's just a cool place to sit. And I like to sort of even veg out here and just sort of be connected, you know, it's important. So how would you rate yourself in terms of your spirituality? All right, so health, friendship, love, mission, finances, hobbies, spirituality, 7 items. Okay. I don't know how you rated yourself. You can let me know. You can send me, yeah, I mean, average of 6s, 5s, you know, whatever you know, I've seen people come in here, whatever you are comfortable with sharing, you can share. If you're not comfortable with sharing, don't share. But just keep these things in mind. Keep this little scale in mind, and maybe we'll revisit this again in 6 months or so. Maybe you could compare your notes, right, from now until 6 months from now, where you're at with regard to these 7 items, and have you developed, or are you thinking about developing any habits that you can implement that can help you to just 1x that number. So if you gave yourself a 5, what do we got to do to make it a 6? You gave yourself a 7, let's make it an 8, right? What one habit, one thing can you do to bring these very important, these vital areas to the next level. Just level up 1, and then we'll worry about leveling up 2, and then 3, and we'll keep going and going and going. So again, that is basically the lecture part of what I'm going to talk about. And we're going to do this every other week. And now, you know, it was about 20 minutes of me on my soapbox. I'm sorry, you might have to just get used to it. And now, you know, I'll open it up to all of you to ask me anything. Tell me some of the things that you'd love to have me wrestle to the ground with you. Or tell me some wins, tell me some takeaways, some things that you got from this discussion, and tell me some things that you really want to work on. And, you know, if you want to share with everybody else here, that's great. If you don't, that's fine too. You don't need to put on your microphone or your video. You don't even have to have your name on the screen if you don't want to. But I honor you for being here. I thank you for all the work that you're doing for somebody else. And we're going to move on to the second part of Ask Me Anything. Let's go. We got open office hours, and we will see the rest of you who are checking out. We'll check in with you guys in a couple of weeks. Happy holidays, and I will see you when we all return. So let's get to Ask Me Anything.